had a march from Fort Hill all the way to Sykes right here. And we walked in and everyone said their piece. So there were some spoken word parts of it. There were strolls from various NPHCs, and they were all demonstrating their angst about the situation. Resist and rest assured at all. So my first article that I was mentioned in politically was about the sitting down for the Pledge of Allegiance and taking a knee, defining solidarity with the NFL players, the larger grassroots movement. And I said that I had never felt comfortable in student government, and after taking the knee, I could kind of figure out who those people were and the way they looked at me and the way they responded by my gesture. Our campus was somewhat enraged, but also just the people's aunts and uncles were asking them, what's going on at Clemson, what's going on at Clemson? People were calling the donation center like, I'm not giving any more money because of what's going on in student government, et cetera, et cetera. So I talked to campus. And when I was at campus, our forum, I met several veterans and people that are in Greek organizations, tour guides and whatnot. And one of the student vets asked me, why did I sit instead of take a knee? And I was like, you know what? I'll take a knee if I'm
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
After
We'll now have a roll.
A motion for impeachment. It was unsuccessful. There was an objection raised by Senator Thomas Marshall, and with that objection raised, it didn't go through, essentially, and we thought that was the end of it. We have this conservative writer on our campus who was in COC for a long time and claimed that procedure had been broken, and with that procedure being broken, that there should be a reintroduction of the impeachment because we didn't follow the rules the way it was said, which was actually unsuccessful. There was an objection raised by Senator Thomas Marshall, and with that objection raised, it didn't go through, essentially, and we thought that was the end of it. We have this conservative writer on our campus who was in COC for a long time and claimed that procedure had been broken, and with that procedure being broken, that there should be a reintroduction of the impeachment because we didn't follow the rules in the way it was said, which was actually true. The Senate
and
president.
Everyone was put up with it because essentially there have been so many incidents beforehand. We had a Christmas party, there was an MLK blackface party years beforehand. So the same students that had experienced that were still here, and so they had gotten used to the administrative response where it was just nothing.
They attempted
nothing at
to
all.
portray me as this sexual predator, and to a certain extent, it was incredibly powerful because people have grown up in the South. It doesn't just go away. When they talk about the Strom Thurmonds that said, no niggers in Congress because they'll rape your wives, and they wanted segregation, like that trickle-down effect of systemic racism, like that's ingrained. And so even though they may say that out loud, it's just what their parents believe, what their grandparents believe, and it's what they believe. And so this trope of this big black man is hurting an innocent white woman was what they were going for.
Why?
And
Because
in a sense,
white students get to focus on their grades and making it, internships. There comes another territory of being a student of color, and that's where you're always sort of conscious about your race in any setting you go to because this space was not made for you in the first place. I think a lot of college campuses are built on the exploitation of people of color. Cornell is an institution that was built on stolen land from the Cayuga Nation, and its legacy is white, successful men, and it's not just this school. It is everywhere. It is so prevalent at any PWI, which are the majority of institutional, or higher education in America.
Martha Pollock, our president, still has not formally responded to our demands. Our demands.
It feels kind of like they're trying to shut us up rather than coming to like a fair solution. Like what they don't want is for us to shut down the parking garage again. What they don't want is for us to have a riot on the quad. American kind of promotes itself as this very liberal, very like inclusive environment, which they are to a degree. But like those subconscious biases, like prejudice, like bubble over from time to time. And that's what happens with the banana incidents, the noose incidents, the yik yak incident. And the conversation was good, but we're kind of at a point now that we know AU is racist.
I don't know
so
what
people
are trying to prove by trying to stick to the status quo. And if it's obviously hasn't been working, students are still being beat up and are protesting for hundreds of years since these universities been created. We were tired. Like